Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Wednesday. I have to think about that. Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Suzanne. Early morning in Chicago. It's 3 a.m. Mad. So glad I could catch you. Noisy with birds singing here. Why are they awake? Because the sun's up, or just about to be, possibly. That's early. That's dedication, Suzanne. Good morning, Marianne. A bit of Eric Cam going on this morning too. You right there? Yeah, it's been a long day already, apparently. As always, if you're watching, do pop a hello in the comments. Good morning, Susan from sunny West Sussex. Yeah, it's a bit grey in Hampshire today. And it's actually quite cold today. Yeah, we have had a lot of sunshine, but it's quite cold today. Kayla still hanging in there. Good morning, Claire. Good morning, Janet. Good morning, Anne. Good morning, Helen. Good morning, Karen. Welcome, welcome. Good morning, Jay. Hope everyone is well today. Anne says grey in North Wales too. Yeah, that's British springtime. Good morning, Amanda. Yeah. Oh, Eric's right. Oh, just making himself more comfortable. Oh. Good morning, Maharet. Gonna wash your feet now. Gonna wash your feet.
I hope it's just his
Eric,
feet.
it's just his feet. He's a good little doggy, keeping his paws clean, aren't you? Eric, you're right there. You're a good boy. Good boy. Yeah, I know. It's tiring, isn't it?
Being a celebrity.
Good evening, Sephora. Yeah, it's all right. You can go to sleep now. It's okay. Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Anne. Eric, yes, Eric he's on a great big beanbag there. It is his favourite. I think the beanbag in the corner of the office is kind of his safe place, I think. You spend a lot of time in there, don't you?
He sleeps there a lot now.
Yeah, sleeps through the night there quite often, yeah. Actually, he's not sleeping. He's going through your vinyl collection while you're in bed.
Oh,
yeah.
Excellent. He can't reach the turntable to put them on there.
He cannot, no. He just looks at the album covers.
Oh.
Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Angela from sunny but chilly France. Yeah, it's slightly grey but chilly here today too. Good morning, Kerry from sunny Clonelly. Excellent. We like a bit of sunshine. All good here, Sue. Thank you. All good. Sephora. Eric always reminds me of our dachshund. Mum wanted a Doberman. Dad said some nose. It is same nose, same colour, just shorter legs. Absolutely. Same bark as a Doberman. Good morning, Maria. Oh, I hope Milo's okay. Good morning, Trudy. Good morning, Charlie. How was the witches' markets? Myself, Ness, Sue, and Heather had an amazing day at the Wandering Witches. It was a fantastic event, and we have booked to go back again in November. So, yeah, brilliant day. Meeting new people, reconnecting with, I won't say old people, that's not quite right. Reconnecting with old friends. Good day, very good day. It's a very nice market. We had fun. We had lots of fun. We had chips and cups of tea. It was all good. So today I thought one of the things that lots of people talk about, one of the things that I talk about quite a lot is moon water, is blessed water, is magic water. And I think we call it moon water because that seems to be the general idea of making it under the moon phases. But you can do so much more than just moon water. So do you make moon water? Do you make sacred blessed water? If you do, how do you make it? And what do you use it for? What do you use your sacred water for? There are lots of uses. I'll run through some of the different waters that I like to work with. I love it because it's free, very magical, very easy to do. You can't go wrong, really. It's just brilliant. So start with moon water, I guess. Do pop in the comments if you work with it and how you use yours. I think it tends to be that moon water is put out under the full moon to charge. And if you're not familiar, it is a jar of water that you put out under the moon phase to charge, and it creates sacred or blessed water. Good morning, Lizzie. You can use tap water. If you use tap water, I would recommend boiling it first and allowing it to cool, because it gets rid of all the nasties that you've got in tap water. Nasties is probably the wrong word, chemicals that they put in the water. So if you boil it and allow that water to cool, it becomes distilled water. You can use bottled water. If you're lucky enough to visit one of the natural springs, you could collect spring water and do it with that. But tap water is fine. Put it in a jar and put it out under the moon phase. Karen says, let's get some of these up. Oh, wrong one. Do you ever make dark moon water? Yes, absolutely. I make moon water on all of the phases. It's quite traditional to make full moon water. And you put the jar of water out. If you can put it outside safely, do that. If not, put it on a windowsill. But you really need the reflection of the moon to hit the surface of the water if you can. So full moon, but you can make waxing moon water, waning moon water. You can do it on all the different phases, the waxing gibbous, the waning gibbous, the first quarter. And yes, you can make it on the dark moon as well. Obviously you can't get a reflection of the moon on the water when it's dark moon. But yes, absolutely you can make dark moon water. Just put your water out under that phase to charge. And it carries all the energies that that moon phase has. So don't be limited just to full moon water. You can charge it on all of the phases. Just make sure to label it for the phase that you've put it in. You can even get more detailed than that and put it out under specific moons in different zodiac phases. But it's so straightforward to do. And it says, I use moon water in my spells. It's brilliant to add the energy of that moon phase into your magical workings. You can roll your candles in it. You can sprinkle it on your altar. You can sprinkle it into your spell pouch. You can anoint yourself with it. You can use it to cleanse your house. Lots and lots. Yes, it does, Sephora. If it's cloudy, does moon water work, or is it redundant until clear night? The moon is there. Even if it's all cloudy, the moon is still there, and she's strong enough to work through the clouds. She's strong enough to work through the clouds to move the oceans. So to charge your moon water, absolutely no problem. So yes, it still works. Good morning. My phone went dong dong and said Rachel's Wednesday morning chats. And I thought, who's Rachel? Senior moment. Oh, we have them all the time. We have them all the time. Let's get this one up. Sue, I have left water in the garden, but when I went out the next day, one of the cats had a head in it drinking. Yes, when I say leave your jar of water outside, if it's safe, I tend to do mine on a windowsill inside, purely because if you do leave it outside overnight, it can get flies and bugs and insects and things in it, which is not fun. I find it is better to do it on a windowsill. But yeah, at least the cat had a drink. Good morning, Kitty Cat. Good morning, Hayley. So yes, you can make moon water very easily on all of the phases. Don't just think you have to make it on the full moon. And you can use it for all sorts of things. It is then sacred. It is then blessed. It then carries the energy of that moon phase, whatever that moon phase might be. So yes, you can charge it under all of the moon phases. Haley says, with the sun shining, I'm thinking sun water. Absolutely. Solar water, I do all the time. You get all of the phases from the sun in one day that you get in a month with the moon. So you could stand it outside at daybreak and leave it out there until lunchtime. And then you've got waxing solar energy water. If you put it out at midday for about an hour, you've got the full force of the sun. You have got full on high noon solar energy water. If you leave it out for the afternoon or even from for the sunset, you've got the waning energy. So you've got all of those phases still. But you've got solar water, and solar water obviously carries the energy that the sun does. And you've got all of that magic that you can use instead. So yes, absolutely, can make solar water just as you can make moon water. Very, very useful to work with. Sephora, with the new moon coming tomorrow and with an eclipse, would it be superpower water? Yes, if you've got an eclipse with it, it does. It makes it extra supercharged. I think any of the eclipses for me kind of bring a reset button. Oh, what have we got today? Is it a surprise? It's dark.
It's dark. It's Guinness.
It's
warm Guinness.
Warm Guinness. Oh, that would not be nice. Oh, it's Turkish tea. Yes, it would absolutely be. Eclipses carry their own kind of magic with them. So when you charge your moon water under the eclipse, make sure you label it, because it will have a different energy to it. Yep, we were just discussing that. Kit Kat, waters for planetary waters. Yes. With your moon phases, if you check to see what planet it's in, what zodiac sign it's in, you can just label it again, charge it under that, and that adds the energy of that planet with it. Oh, we off, are we? Okay. We're off now. Yes, you can charge it with that planetary energy. And yeah, absolutely, sun water, all of the different phases within the day for solar water makes it brilliant to work with.
The sun's come out, so you've lost
the sun's come out, yeah. Trudy says, I use my moon water in a spray bottle for cleansing with lavender, and I bathe in when I do self-care ritual. Absolutely. Any of the sacred blessed waters are brilliant to add to your bath water if you are working a ritual bath, and brilliant to add to spritzer bottle. Perfect. Yes, if you did solar and moon water in all their phases, you would have quite a stash of jars of water. Yes, I think the bonus with working with the sun is, if you think tomorrow I need to work a spell for whatever it might be, releasing, you could charge the water this afternoon. And it's ready there. If you're working with the phases of the moon, then you would have to wait until the waning moon. So I like working with solar magic because you get all the phases in that one day. So you'd work it, just charge it the day before, use it the next day, and then you don't have quite so many jars of water. Storm water always feels more powerful to me. Yes, Karen, it is. If there's a storm raging above you, chuck a jar out to collect some of the rainwater, because storm rainwater is supercharged with energy. It is it's power. It is the power of the elements. It's the power of Mother Nature at her grumpiest. It is definitely supercharged. So yes, if there's a storm raging and it's raining, put a jar outside to collect that rainwater, because it will be supercharged storm water. Anne would like a cup of tea, please. Yeah. Zephora, do you need to collect moon water before sunrise? I'm very rarely up exactly on sunrise. So if I have left a jar out to charge under the moon, then I collect it when I get up for breakfast. So probably technically you should, but modern life, real life, no, I just remove it when I get up for breakfast. Good morning, Ruth. Maharet, I also have a small collection of waters from wells, springs, specific locations, oceans, or river waters. Yes, and each one of those will have its own kind of magic. Each type of water has different movement. It has different energies to it. So rivers and streams, they flow. So it's movement. If it's a fast flowing river, then it's going to carry that momentum with it. So that type of water is going to have a real push for moving things along, for keeping things going. A little stream that's just bubbling along will still have movement, but it'll have a lighter movement energy to it. Lakes, ponds, they're still, they're calming, they have reflective surfaces. So that kind of water, lake or pond water, works really well for water scrying. But it has that kind of calm, peaceful energy to it. So you could add it to spell working for anything that requires you to sort of calm down and be a bit peaceful with. Seawater it's got salt, so it is cleansing, it's purifying. It carries the power of the ocean as well. So I think that's got quite a supercharged energy to it, because the ocean is so powerful. And I think it also carries that kind of power over life and death, the kind of cycle of life to it. So seawater, brilliant too. You can drink moon waters, blessed waters, sacred waters to imbue their properties. Don't drink seawater because it's yucky. But absolutely, all of those different things will have. Spring water is so fresh and clean and natural. It's straight out of the ground. I think each location has its own different energy to it as well. I've had spring water from the Roman baths in Bath. It tastes revolting because it's got so many minerals and nutrients in it. It tastes disgusting, but it's got that own magical energy to it. We've often collected water from the Chalice Well spring and the White Springs in Glastonbury, both very, very different energies from the waters, but they will carry that energy of the location. Brackish water, it's not fresh water, it's not salt water. It is brackish water is created where an estuary and a river meet. A river meets the sea, so you've got a kind of mixed. It's a bit liminal for me. It's a bit in between because it's the two waters meeting, so that'll carry its own special energy as well. So it will depend on where you get it from and the individual locations as well. Sephora, tomorrow's eclipse is a rare one too. Hybrid solar eclipse. Not sure what that means yet, but probably powerful. Oh, yes. For me, it is a total reset. It is a switch the computer off, switch it back on again kind of situation. So, yeah, hopefully it will reset everything that's been rubbish about this year so far. But, yeah, do a reset for that. Tap and bottled water for each region would have different mineral compounds. Absolutely. So you could work with those as well. Same as mineral compounds of crystals, even deeper levels of natural magic. Absolutely. Yes, because they all have, like I have a bottle of water from the Roman baths, and I use that for magic when I'm working with Sulis. I use Chalice Well water when I'm working with any of the Avalonian goddesses. When we were working with Arnemetia, the goddess from Buxton, we got a hold of some Buxton bottled spring water. Where the Calach, you can get Scottish Highlands bottled water. So yes, it does. It works. If you can get hold of bottled water from different regions, it will have different energies to it. Absolutely. Lizzie, guess I would just carry on doing my things ad hoc with whatever's to hand. Yep, quite certain I would forget to label and wind up using the wrong phase for my workings. Yes, there is that too. I don't tend to store the water. I tend to, if I think about it or if I'm prompted to do it, then it'll be for a particular reason and I'll realize what it's for. If I need water for something now, and that's usually how I work, I will go with solar water because I can do that within the day. Got to go with what's right for you. You absolutely. Hi, Susie from Surrey, my home ground. I was born and bred in Surrey. Love the idea of moon waters, but just as with Espats, I always forget to mark the occasion. Yeah, I'd like to have moon river waters, ideally in pretty mud-larked bottles. I can dream. What a fabulous idea. Yeah, that's a brilliant idea, isn't it? And you can charge water on the sabbats too, would work very nicely. I tend to do something different on that. I'll have a fire in the chimney on the sabbat, and then you can collect the ashes and you can work with that. That's a whole different thing. Claire, if you collect it this week, this will be potent for endings, astrology speaking. Yes, because with all of what's happening, it is a total reset this week. Sephora, they say rare eclipse, last one 2013, the next one 2031, and after that 2164. Let's not even think about that. Yes, a lot of power going on this week, so if you're going to do it, this week's the week to do it. Good morning, Colin. Good morning, Heather. Eric's gone out to the sunshine. Sephora, which phase of water is best for protection, if any? I think all of the water is very good for protection, but I would put salt in it, or I would use seawater. Salt adds that extra. Salt is protection in a whole kind of package. So I would work with a bit of salt added to it. For me, protection, I would say the full moon because it's got the most power, but I would also go probably more with solar magic. I would go with midday. Or charge it with solar magic midday. But trust your intuition. Trust your intuition with it. Lizzie, I gathered the rainwater collected in the bucket, popped it on the window ledge with the lid on. It's now growing things, green fluffy things. So I'm waiting to see what it evolves into. You may have created a new life form. You could be something very interesting growing in there, Lizzie. Definitely. A new creature. So what does anybody use your moon water for, your blessed water for? What do you use it for? Yes, there will be a nice bit of fungus water. Oh, now that would probably be good for curses and hexes. Just saying. Probably good for protection too, I would think. Yeah, be very protective, I reckon. Anyway, has anyone heard of ghost water? This one's quite intriguing. This is charging a bottle or a glass cup, jar, whatever it might be, of water, but leaving it in a graveyard, putting on a grave overnight. So it charges with the energy from the graveyard. And that is ghost water. And that can be used for hexes and curses, should you wish to. But I actually think, again, that would probably have quite a spirit world, otherworld connection to it, because you're charging it in a whole area filled with spirit. So that would work for me. Lizzie, I've used rivers often to take things away. Rivers, oceans, because of that movement, they have got that cleansing, releasing, removing kind of energy. So brilliant for working with for that. Sephora has wet cat water tonight. It's usually Colin's cat that gives us the weather report. Janet, I water my plants with moon water. Excellent. Yes, that's brilliant. Particularly if you've got moon water that you've charged on a waxing moon or a full moon, it will bring growth to the plant. It brings that kind of energy. Maharet, I use them for spell working mostly, or for potions like cleansing sprays. Brilliant for that. Absolutely brilliant for that. Lizzie, surprisingly, I could do with some protection, so maybe I'm being guided to keep that water there till it's ready to be used. All for a reason. All for a reason. I think it would be incredibly protective. No one would want to go near that water, would they? Definitely. And you've got a bit of nature in there as well to bring protection. Hayley, I cleanse my crystals in it, and you've got me thinking Fey water. Making Fey water or using it for fairy water? How would you do that, Hayley? I'm throwing questions back out there today. Lizzie, I do like using the toilet water to banish. Very useful. Yes, that would work. That would definitely work. Sephora, I must make first quarter water as it's the best time for sowing seeds. Might give the late ones a boost. Yeah, it's got that new fresh beginnings, new energy, growth kind of energy magic to it. That would be perfect. That would be perfect. Good idea, Heather, as offerings. Yes, blessed water, absolutely brilliant for offerings. Hayley, making it. I've never made fairy water, Hayley. I wonder how you would charge that. Well, I guess there is a she moon that comes around occasionally. That would work. You might want to make flower water for the fairies. Just musing. Yeah, please do. That's what we're here for. You just like to put me on the spot. No, that's what we're here for. Let's get those ideas out there. Flower water is quite easy to make. You can use the petals of flowers, and you could pick flowers that the fae really like. Bluebells, foxgloves, hawthorn. Use the flowers, take the petals, put them in boiling water, allow it to cool, strain it, and then you've got flower water. And the water will take on the energy of whatever flowers you put in it. That water doesn't tend to last so long because you put plant matter into it. But it carries the energy of the flowers, and you could make a fairy flower concoction with that. That would work brilliantly. He says, could you do it like ghost scenario? Okay, so if you have a fairy hill or a fairy mound or an area where fairies are well known, you could give it a try, Hayley. Definitely. That would be interesting to do. It'd be interesting to see what energies that would come up with. That's a nice idea, Lizzie. Pop a figure of a fairy into some water with petals and a crystal and leave it overnight. Hey presto, fairy water. There you go. Brilliant ideas. See, sharing. Sharing the ideas here. Very good idea. All this talk of powerful week. Grabbed a clean bottle and filled it with sparkling mineral water. Precious. Tap water is disgusting. Okay. Put it outside to get flat. Then to drink. Yeah, I must admit, I'm not a big fan of drinking sparkling water. I would leave it to go flat too. Sephora, do you have the tradition of washing your hands in water after entering a graveyard? Traditional practice for Maori here in New Zealand and something we've always done too. Interesting. I don't know that one, Sephora. That kind of makes sense. Is it? I'm assuming that's kind of as a mark of respect to, removing negative energies, but also as a mark of respect because you are on sacred ground. Interesting. And a bath in flower water. All of the magical waters can be added to your bath, and petals can be added. Flowers can be added to your bath as well. Brilliant. Angela, off to the French Atlantic coast tomorrow, so shall I bringing a small jar of seawater back. Perfect. Seawater is brilliant for working all kinds of magic with. Hayley, don't apologise. That's what we're here for, sharing, putting those questions out there. If I don't know the answer, someone else will. And there you go. Lizzie's solved your problem. I think that would work brilliantly. Be mindful when you're working with the fairy, of course. Bit of a warning with that. Probably a pigeon in the garden. Angela, stand a jar in the middle of a fairy ring. If you're brave enough to step inside it, I'd be just gingerly placing the jar inside it. I think I wouldn't be standing in it. But that would work too. That would carry an awful lot of energy, magical energy with it. I would be very mindful when working with the fairies. Be very mindful and respectful when working with fairies. Sephora, I think it's to make sure that you don't take spirit with you when you leave. Okay, washing your hands when you after you've entered a graveyard. That makes sense too. Yeah, it is quite. It's a sacred place, isn't it? The graveyard is a sacred place. So there's lots of folklore associated with them. But yeah, that makes sense. Claire used it to boost a spell for justice. Came to light many other people involved. Very revealing. Interesting. I think all of these things have a reason. They all have a purpose. Colin, I've known Catholics to buy bottled water from Lourdes. The water all has different energies. Where it came from will have different energies, and it'll all have different kinds of magic attached to it and folklore attached to it as well, depending on what the area is. Lizzie, there is the practice of washing your face in dew in the morning of the first day of May, but I figure you could do it any time. Dew is very, very connected with beauty and glamour magic. You have to get up really early to catch it. I think the idea of it being on the first day of May is because it ties in with Beltane. So you've got that fertile passion, love kind of fertility energy that Beltane and May brings with it. But yeah, dew collected at any time is very good in glamour and beauty magics. But you got to get up early. Susie, I've been told storing magical water makes it lose its power. What are your thoughts? What do other people think? I don't have a problem with it. I don't think you should store it for very long, mainly because it's water in a jar. So it's, sometimes it goes a little bit icky. I've not noticed it losing its power, but I don't store it for very long. Flower water, I only keep for a couple of days. But any of the moon waters, the solar waters, I don't keep them for huge amounts of time, but that's just because I tend to make it and then use it. I don't have like my books. I don't have big shelves of jars of water. I've not noticed it, Susie, but others might have insight into that one. I'm drinking today because I did a 2-hour workshop last night and my voice is going. And I've been working more with the Fae, as I have one that comes to me when I'm in the garden. Working with the fairy, I think, is a calling. It is definitely a pathway that you have to be committed to. They are, tricky. I think it's about knowing and understanding their etiquette and how to work with them. But if it works for you, go for it. Absolutely go for it. Lizzie, fairies have sharp teeth. Fairies have this whole idea of fairies being fluffy and glittery and sparkly, flower fairy type things. Came from, it was Disney, pre-Disney. It came from Victorian times. The Victorians were the ones that shrunk fairies down to little tiny flowery sparkly things. Disney's not helped with that idea. Look, if you're going to work with fairies, if you want to work with fairies, look to the original folklore, look to the original fairy tales, the laws and traditions that your area has with fairies, because they can be quite tricky and they can be quite difficult to work with, but they have this whole etiquette that it's worthwhile learning. You don't say thank you to a fairy, for instance. Saying thank you to them is meaningless. It means absolutely nothing to them. So there's a whole etiquette that comes along with working with fairies. If you are interested, I can recommend the books by Morgan Daimler and by Halo Quinn. They will show you the best ways of working with fairy. It's not an area that I work with. So look to the folklore, because the folklore will, and there's some horrific fairy stories out there, which kind of gives you an idea. The folklore is the best source that we have for legends, stories, facts, for want of a better word, about fairies. We've gone off onto fairies. We always do go off somewhere else, don't we? Angela, I live near the coast, but it's the murky channel between France and the UK. So going to another coast will be refreshing and exciting. Every ocean has its own energy, though, doesn't it? We live, South Sea is our closest ocean, and I love it. It is a British seaside town. You've got the piers, you've got the ice cream parlours, you've got the chip shops, and it's got that whole, there's a fairground one end I love it. It is my ocean. The energy there makes me feel better. And then we go off on holiday, and we went to Cornwall last year, and I couldn't connect with any of them. Boscastle, Tintagel, places that I love. Dramatic, yeah, scenic. Imagine, the Black Pearl coming around the corner with Captain Jack on it. But I couldn't connect with the oceans because they weren't my oceans. They were different energies. So yes, every ocean has a different energy. Sephora, what about urine? Let's just lower the tone, shall we? Not that you would go sprinkling with gay abandon, but I imagine it's quite powerful. I know it makes a fantastic fertilizer. Well, all of your fluids do. all of your fluids carry magic because they are personal to you. So any of your body fluids would carry your energy. So you probably don't want to be spreading it around, any of it, because it's got your personal energy with it. In the tradition of hoodoo, all of those bodily fluids can be used against you because it's your personal energy. There's nothing more personal than your bodily fluids. So they do carry magic. A lot of the witch bottles that have been found that were holed up in old cottages and old houses, usually in the chimney breasts or under the floorboards, they had urine in them as one of the ingredients, and it was originally used to protect against witchcraft. So it carries a strong protection energy to it, but you probably don't want to be throwing all that stuff around because it's connected to you. It's got your personal energy, but fascinating to work with any of the fluids because they carry different energies. That's a whole subject in itself. Can use a facial steam idea of putting appropriate herbs into boiling water and letting the steam waft. Careful with breathing in the naughty oars, though. Otherwise, culinary herbs should be fine, I think. It's like when you have a cold, isn't it? You have the hot steaming bowl of water. You put things like eucalyptus or mint in, works very well. Yeah, absolutely. Karen, I'm with Rachel on the storage. Collect it for a purpose and use it soon afterwards. For me, it's just the practicalities of it, really. If it is something like there's a storm, then I will collect that, and that might sit for a bit until I have a use for it. But generally with the water, because the moon phases come round every month and because the sun phases come around every day, there's not a huge need to store it unless you've got something specific like the eclipse happening. Lizzie, I think I'd use the dew washing for other things apart from glamour, probably to improve scars or other imperfections. Nice idea. Yep, like that.
Only if you have imperfections.
Do you not have any imperfections? No.
Obviously not.
And they do cause mischief all the time. I think that's the role of fairies. Maharet, I conserve waters with a bit of clear alcohol. Think they get stronger over time when appropriately stored and preserved. Pure waters lose energy in my experience. There you go. The alcohol would definitely preserve it, wouldn't it? Yeah, so I've not kept anything for a long period of time. But they are. Thank you for that, Maharet. Morning, Leslie. These things seem to have a natural shelf life, like Bridie dolls and John Barleycorn, buried, burned, released after a year. Yes, I think if you're keeping these waters for more than a year, then they're probably a little bit icky. They're either completely devoid of any kind of energy or they've gone a bit icky. Yeah, I think you have to have a bit of a turnaround with things like water. Herbs and spices I keep for a long time. I've got, I bought bag of sesame seeds, I think it was, about 5-6 years ago, and I'm still working my way through them. So some things do keep, but yeah, I think you can tell. I think if you're working with energy, then you connect with it. You connect with it to find what level of energy it's still got. If it feels hinky, if it feels empty, then chuck it away. Maria, I usually drink my moon water when I get up, as it's usually in my drinking bottle left overnight. Perfect. Lizzie, I observe the fairy critters when they flash past in the corner of my eye when I'm in the garden, but we just rub along together. Yeah, same. I think they like my messy, chemical-free garden. Yeah, no chemicals in our garden either. Yeah, that's how I do it, Lizzie. Karen, after living more than 45 years on the South Wales coast, I now live in Coventry. Couldn't get much further from the sea. As we are an island, it's quite tricky to be quite far away from the sea, but you've done it. Yeah, it's and coming down your way, bank holiday weekend. Oh, that's coming up, isn't it? That's coming up. Colin, the Immortal Instruments books have the Fae in them, and they are tricksters. They do not lie, but have a way of turning the questions. It is a commitment to dedicate yourself to working with the fairy. Is a way of life. I think it is something that you need to do your research first, because they are tricky little beggars. Little Miss Nemo, urine energy makes loads of sense. When you think of tomcats and other animals spraying to mark their territory, mind you, not if the spray is urine as such. Anyone know for sure? Oh, I don't know. I don't have a cat. So, and Eric, Eric's a bit precious. It is. You know, that's just popped into my head. Then it would be good for boundaries, wouldn't it? It would be good for working with boundaries as well. All of the bodily fluids carry their own magical energies and are used for things. Lizzie, I used my pee and load of spiky plants along my garden edge for a protection barrier as my neighbours were being horrific. It worked. Boundaries, yeah. Boundaries and protection. Yeah, that's perfect. I think a lot of these things it's about thinking what that particular ingredient means to you, how you would work with it, and what energies and what connections you associate with it. Little Miss Nemo, adding alcohol to magical waters is a brilliant idea. Yeah, the 100% proof, not your best whiskey. Yeah, that makes sense because it preserves, doesn't it? Sephora, not that we have snow here, not in New Zealand so much, I guess, but snow here, but I understand snowflakes are exceedingly unique in their makeup and change with the energy around them. As I understand it, every single snowflake is unique and individual. It will not have a double, which is so clever of Mother Nature. But snow water is brilliant to collect as well. If you can collect some snow or some ice and allow it to defrost to keep that in a jar, it's transformation. It's good for changes and transformation magic because it's water that's transformed into something else and then back again. So excellent for transformation, changes, helping you deal with all of that. Brilliant for that, snow water or ice water. Maharet, I've some water from a sea quake near Crete a few years back, reserved, and that one really packs a punch. I bet. Gets stronger too, and I shake it up occasionally to strengthen it. That's a good idea, shaking it to recharge it. Yeah, I bet that is very powerful. Janet, one of my friends, they use milk instead of water. I was told to drink it first thing in the morning. Well, milk is associated with the moon, so that would make sense. It's got similar properties. It's very nurturing. It's very caring. I'm not sure I'd want to drink milk that was left out all night. Depends how cold it is. But yeah, that would work. Colin, it's mainly tomcats that spray. As far as I know, yes, they do, don't they? Maria, I suppose the rainwater that collects in my flower pot that drips from the guttering above has energies from a few sun and moon phases. I water the plants with it. Perfect. You've got a combination then, haven't you? You've got a balance of all of the sun phases and all of the moon phases. Should be pretty balanced. Ideal. Sephora, we had the worst hail here ever the other day. Very destructive, so I guess I could use for banishing. Hail is also transformation too, because it's water that's been transformed into hail, so it would work very good for transformation, for changes, for transitions. But yes, with the destruction that hail causes because it hurts. Absolutely, you could use it for banishing. That would be perfect. Lizzie, the idea of shaking, agitating to imbue or recharge the energy is essentially how homeopathy works. So perfect. I do it with my spell pouches and my witch bottles too. If I feel they need a bit of a kick or a boost of energy, then I will shake them to recharge it. Snow water for transformation, yes. Also, I suppose for affirmation, self-confidence, etc. Precisely because each snowflake is individual. That makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. The other one that I do sometimes is rainbow water. If you are able to spot a rainbow and you happen to be in the area where it's raining, if you can catch some of the rain in a jar while you can see the rainbow inside of the rainbow, then you've got yourself rainbow water. And rainbow magic is a whole subject in itself. It is happiness, it's positive energy, it's wishes, it's good luck, it's good fortune. You've got all of the colors of the chakras in the rainbow. So you've got all of that balance and all of that self-care, self-energy. And then, of course, there's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So the rainbow brings magic and it brings wishes as well. So if you can collect some rainwater when there's a rainbow in the sky, you've got yourself rainbow water. It works brilliantly. And the other one we haven't talked about is crystal water. Crystals all have their own individual energies, obviously. You can just drop a crystal in a glass of water and let it charge the water, but some of them leach out toxins and some of them disappear in water. Some of them absorb the water and crumble away. So I find it easier and safer to get a little tiny jam jar and pop the crystal in the jar, put the lid on, and then put that in the glass of water so that it charges the water. Then you can take it out and drink the water or use it for magic. And that water has imbued with all of the energies from whichever crystal you put in the glass of water. It's a very easy way to work with water and with the crystal energy. Charlie, when snow was mentioned, I thought how sound changed around it. It just sounds different. It does, doesn't it? I've never thought, but does sound change when we are near seas and rivers? Snow's got that, when you wake up in the morning and there's a whole blanket of snow, it's silent, isn't it? It's got that real special kind of, there is a magic to it, isn't it? There's peace. It does glow, yeah. It is, there's something very special about it, and it's got that silence to it, which works with the energy of it as well. But absolutely, I mean, the sound of the ocean is one of my favorite sounds, along with the seagulls. I like the sound of seagulls. Oh. Sounds. Talking of sounds, that was the phone. Yeah, I mean, you're working with your senses, aren't you? So you've got your sight, you've got your smell, you've got your you're listening. Even touch as well works in with it, doesn't it? Yeah, I think sitting by the ocean is one of my favorite places. Colin, growing up, bottled milk would freeze if left on the doorstep. Yes, and the little lid top of it would. I'd still have a milkman deliver. Angela, The Hidden Messages in Water by Masaru Emoto. It's a fabulous and informative book. There's been a lot of research done on water and how reactive it is. We've got cat lessons here too. Lizzie, some female neuter cats will spray. They take on the territorial aspect normally exhibited in males. It is boundaries, isn't it? Boundaries and protection. We're talking about cats. I'm sorry. Sephora, I will collect rainbow water for my trans child next time it's an option. Might be really nice. That would be perfect, wouldn't it? That would be absolutely perfect. Good idea. Karen, talking of spell pouches, would you add extra ingredients to a spell pouch or make a new one? That all depends. I would never mix in the intent. So if I've got a spell pouch for prosperity, I would never add ingredients to make it into something else. However, spell pouches, witch bottles. Sometimes I feel they need a bit of a boost. What I would do is feed them. Your spell has got its own spirit. When you've made your spell pouch, it's got its own energy, it's got its own spirit. Sometimes that needs feeding. And I would make a sachet powder, make a magic powder to feed it with. What I tend to do is use very similar ingredients to the original spell pouch, but grind them up into a powder and then put a pinch in to the spell bag, give it a shake, and I've regenerated it, I've recharged it, I've given that energy an extra boost. So yes, I would add ingredients then, but in the form of a powder to feed the spirit of the spell pouch, if that makes sense. Sometimes it just needs a shake. The thing to do is to hold it and connect with the energy of it and see what it needs. If it just wants feeding, give it a boost. If it's done and dusted, it will tell you and you'll have to make a new one. It will change depending on each situation. But yeah, you can feed it because you're feeding the spirit of it. Haley, I put a silver dollar in the bottom. No idea why. I'm assuming we're talking about water here. I put a silver coin in the bottom of water when I'm scrying. I've got a little dish that's got a dark inside. Scrying with water is better if your bowl is dark inside. It just makes it easier to see the images. So I drop a silver coin in the bottom of it, and it helps with the reflections on the top for me. You can sprinkle herbs on the top. You can put drops of oil on the top. Perfect if you've got a full moon, and you can position your dish of water so the full moon falls on the top of the water, and you could read symbols and images with that. But I do when I'm scrying. Sephora, I guess I can collect frost water as an alternative to snow water. Don't see why not. Sephora, that would work. Maharet, I combined crystals, plants, and planetary aspects for specific purposes in the past too, but that may technically count as a potion. Yeah, maybe. Where does a magical water turn into a potion? Or I created waters during rituals for later use or strengthening. Perfect. You have to trust your intuition on this and be guided by what you need to work with, by what you need to add, by what you need to use. Every situation will be different. Every person is different. So it will be different things. Colin, my precious is very territorial. Yeah, I think most animals are in their own houses, aren't they? Susie, silver is antibacterial and pure silver coin might prevent decay. If there are any real silver coins left. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You've got to trust what your intuition says and what you're using it for as well. I like to, when I clear off my altar to start afresh, I like to cleanse it and consecrate it with blessed water. It kind of says, this is my sacred space, and I'm clearing it and I'm cleaning it and I am dedicating it as a sacred spot. So I do use magical blessed water for that. It freshens it up, but it also brings that boundaries again, I guess. We're talking, this is my sacred space, this is my altar, and I am cleaning it and blessing it for magical purpose. You can do the same with all of your magical tools, whether you immerse them in the water completely or just sprinkle it with it. It brings an extra, it's kind of a key, it's kind of a flicking the switch that this is now magical, this is for magical purpose. And all you're doing it with is water, which is free and easy to get hold of. Water carries its own energies anyway. It is cleansing, it is purifying. It does work and deal with your emotions and balances your emotions. So it is a magical ingredient and it's free and easy to work with. Have a look in your areas and see what different types of waters you've got. Because it's all different and you'll get different energies from them. One lake will be different to another lake in a different part of the country, so they'll all carry their own energies to them. Sephora, colloidal silver water would be a protective option. It's very healing, and I imagine leaving under the moon would add a whole other level. Interesting. Yes. That would. I have worked with
Yep.
colloidal silver water before. It's all about healing, isn't it?
Well,
Which is what
I'm not
the
a fan
moon
of-
is very healing too, isn't it? And water
Okay,
carries
okay.
healing energies as well. Put that all together with silver and with the moon and all of, you've got a complete package there, haven't you? But it's about what works for you. It's about bringing in those
absolutely.
correspondences for you and what you associate with it. Angela, I make my own colloidal silver and add a few drops or a small slosh of this to my waters as a preservative. Perfect, perfect. Yeah, it's got to work for you, but there's so many different varieties out there and so many different options and ways of working with it. Milk was mentioned, but in my head now I've got all sorts of things, like you could add fresh orange juice to your water and then it would bring the energy of oranges. You could add squeeze of lemon to it and then it would bring different energies. Lemon is associated with the moon, orange with the sun. That would add those different energies to the magical water as well. I like to make little jars of water and I'll add things to it. So if I made a jar for prosperity, say, fill the jar with water, charged moon water, on the waxing or on the full to bring money. And then I'll add herbs to it. So I'll add herbs I associate with prosperity. So I might add some mint leaves and some basil leaves. Then I might add some seeds of some sort, all the little tiny seeds, sesame seeds, fennel seeds, all associated with prosperity. Put some of those in it as well. And then I'll float a tea light candle on the top. Light the candle and work that as my prosperity spell, because you've got the energy of the water there and all the herbs that you've got in it, and then you've got your candle spell on top. That works quite well. Lizzie says Reiki water. Yes, also very healthy. So if you are or know someone who's a Reiki practitioner, then use it in that way. If you work with Reiki, you can charge every single drink or glass of water that you work with. It's very straightforward to do. And it brings in, as you say, that extra layer of energy. And my friend made nettle vinegar, amazing with moon water. Nice. That works too, Claire. Adding a flower essence, perfect. Yep, my daughter had lots of water with Rescue Remedy in it when she was doing her exams. Yeah, that would work. Maharet, essential oils work too as an additional layer. Yes, absolutely. You can add in a few drops of essential oil. It's not going to mix with the water, obviously. Oil and water don't mix, but it does add that extra energy. It just needs a shake. If you work with it in a spritz bottle, give it a shake and it will sort of dissolve itself into it. Sephora has given me a weird word to read. We have taniwa, that lurk in waterways. Is there anything that lurks which we need to be wary of? If you are collecting any of the waters from rivers, from streams, from lakes, from ponds, from oceans, do not use it for drinking, because you don't know what's in it. If you are going to be drinking your water, then use tap water, distilled water, or bottled water. If you're using it for magical purpose, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just be careful if you are touching it to dab things with. Just be mindful of washing your hands before you eat afterwards, that kind of thing. Straightforward health and safety stuff. So that is magical waters, blessed waters. If you have any other ideas or thoughts, do pop them in the comments and we'll learn from each other, basically. I've learned stuff today. Hopefully you have as well. So that's it for today. That's it for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. Do check the Kitchen Witch Coven Facebook page for any events that are coming up. Check my website for any events as well. And there's both of our blogs, my blog, Kitchen Witch blog, and of course all of the things on the Kitchen Witch YouTube channel and my YouTube channel. There are rituals and all sorts of things on there. So thank you everyone for joining me on a Wednesday. I'm very relieved that most of you can join me. Have a fantastic week. and I'll hopefully
Sounds good
see
to
you
me.
again
No,
next
I
week.
think so. Yeah, that would.
Take care, everyone.